Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Q1 FY22 earnings conference call of Cera Sanitaryware Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Mayank Vaswani of CDR India. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Lizanne. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the earnings call for Cera Sanitaryware Limited for Q1 FY22. The earnings of which were announced yesterday. We have with us today the management team comprising Mr. Ayush Bagla, Executive Director, Mr. Rajesh B. Shah, CFO and COO of the company, and Mr. Mahesh Taparia, the Deputy CFO. We will start with brief opening remarks from the management, following which we will open the call for Q&A. Kindly note the disclaimer before we begin the prepared remarks. Some of the statements made in today's conference call may be forward-looking in nature, and a detailed note in this regard is contained in the results documents that have been shared with all of you earlier. I would now turn the call over to Mr. Ayush Bagla for his opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayank. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking time to join our call. The earnings for the first quarter of the financial year 2021-22 were adopted by the Board of Directors yesterday, 5th August 2021. The earnings documents have been released to the stock exchanges. During quarter 1 FY22, India witnessed the second wave of the pandemic. While the country had witnessed a national lockdown at the time of the first wave, this time around there were phase-wise and region-specific lockdowns which did not disrupt operations at our manufacturing facilities but had an impact on interstate transport and market closures. Due to the high severity of the second wave, the company witnessed a drop in volumes and consequently in its revenues. This, we believe, is more in the nature of deferred purchase decisions which will translate into sales as customers return to purchase activity from mid-June onwards. While in the case of the first wave, it was the metro cities and urban centers which were more severely affected, this time the impact has been visible and equally severe in non-metros and smaller cities and towns as well as in rural areas. As most of you are aware, Cera, which enjoys between 55 to 60% of top line from tier 3 cities and beyond, witnessed a material pandemic impact in these areas, which is reflected in its revenue. On the production side, Cera has managed to operate their plants at fairly high capacity utilization this quarter. Capacity utilization of the sanitaryware plant was 88% and of the faucetware plant was 72%. After a fairly underwhelming year in financial year 21. This was largely made possible as the company stringently followed the recommended guidelines mandated by local authorities. Best practices in terms of social distancing, masking as well as sanitation protocols were followed. The company has also undertaken efforts to vaccinate its eligible shop floor employees and their families. The employees and teams at Cera have displayed exemplary commitment and dedication to help us counter the challenges caused by the second wave of the pandemic. As some of you may recall, we had faced a one-off disruption in our plant operations during quarter 3 FY21. And it took us some days in quarter 4 FY21 as well to stabilize production. At that time, we had leveraged our outsourcing arrangements to cater to the ongoing demand. During financial year 2021, to tackle the on-ground challenges due to reduced availability of product, Cera's strategy to fulfill the ongoing demand for its products using agile infrastructure, a mix of in-house and outsourced facilities worked. These initiatives proved highly beneficial in the backdrop of the partial disruption as the company was able to increase its volumes from its vendors to cater to the improved demand. The normal percentage of outsourcing in sanitary ware is 50 to 55, which was 55% this quarter after increasing to 77% in Q3 during FY 2021. In faucetware, the normal percentage of outsourcing is 50% to 55%, which was 55% this quarter after rising to 59% over the last 2 quarters. Production has stabilized this quarter and own manufacturing is once again contributing to the desired ratio, enabling us to replenish stocks of high-end and complex products. Working capital had contracted during the last fiscal from 341 crores to 234 crores, releasing 107 crores of cash in the absence of all-round availability of product and channel inventory remaining dry. This quarter, with the increased utilization at our manufacturing plants and the responsiveness by vendors in the face of the second wave, we have been able to replenish the channel inventory. We have established localized warehouses across locations to rapidly serve the markets and efficiently manage finished goods inventory. This is serving us well as we drive a restocking of the pipeline. As a result, we expect our capital deployed in inventory to rise, requiring an increase in working capital this fiscal. Given the adequate cash reserves of 433 crores on 30th June 2021, we expect that during the year, a portion of the available cash can be used in increasing working capital and more specifically in increasing inventory days. Getting product to market and product availability is a high priority for the company as markets remain strong. Since August 2020, demand has been very robust on the back of completely redefined elasticity of demand, reduced interest rates and reduced monthly home loan payments. The sector has witnessed record registrations in Maharashtra and many other states in the last 12 months, barring a brief pause during the second wave. Since July 2021, the overall demand has returned to a fairly positive trajectory similar to the one between August 2020 to March 2021. The sales numbers of July 2021 bear out this phenomenon. On the other parts of working capital, there is a concerted focus on managing receivables within a comfortable range, and we have been encouraging customers to allow us to work with them on schedules which are smaller dispatches of products closely aligned to project completion, enabling faster and smaller billing cycles and better receivables management. As we had shared before, we are also driving increase in cash and carry component in the tiles business. In the sanitary ware and faucetware business, it is already high. Receivable management has traditionally been Cera's strength, and we continue to build on the theme. The other development to share has been the inflationary environment in raw materials being witnessed across all industries this quarter. On the sanitary ware side, there have been relatively smaller price increases in some of the ancillary cost items like transport, costs, and packaging. Key items like clay and feldspar, which constitute 95% of sanitary ware raw material mix, have been relatively stable in the sanitary ware business, though zinc has moved higher. Due to availability of gas from isolated wells near our plant, the pricing of gas from GAIL dropped further to 9.63 rupees per cubic meter, as against rupees 40.51 from Sabarmati, which is the market-driven pricing. Renewable energy, given that 90% of our energy requirement is met from wind and solar power sources, we have been able to keep significant parts of our cost basket stable. For faucetware, we have witnessed a meaningful increase in prices of brass, which is an important raw material, and we have continued to raise prices of faucetware products accordingly. We drove price hikes this quarter to remain ahead of cost pressure. In sanitary ware, our last 2 price hikes were implemented in August 2020 of 3 to 5%, and from February 2021 of 5 to 7%. From 1st August 2021, we have implemented another price hike of 4%. In faucetware, the price hike was from 1st February 2021 of 8 to 10%. From August 2021, we have implemented another price hike in faucetware of 10%. Sales mix and its importance. Despite the drop in sales this quarter due to the second wave, the sales mix remains favorable as sanitary ware and faucets remain our core focus area, and we are confident of the prospects on a sustained basis. Sanitary ware contributed 50% and faucetware contributed 31% of top line this quarter. In that backdrop, we can go over the financials on a YOY basis. Revenues in Q1 FY22 were 222.84 crores versus 142.59 crores in Q1 of FY21. EBITDA excluding other income was 19.84 crores in Q1 versus 6.64 in Q1 of FY21. The EBITDA margin has been 8.9% versus 4.7% in Q1 FY21. PAT was rupees 12.92 crores in Q1 FY22 versus 2.91 crore in Q1 FY21. EPS for Q1 was rupees 9.93 versus 2.24 in Q1 of FY2021. For Q1 FY22, 50% of the top line was from sanitary ware, 31% from faucetware, tiles was 17% and wellness 2%. On a YOY basis, sanitary ware revenues registered an increase of 53.8%, faucetware revenues increased by 69.1%, tiles by 50.4% and wellness increased by 11%. The sanitary ware and faucetware verticals remain the bedrock of the business with contribution of 81% to our overall revenues. Cera continues to witness encouraging demand for its newly launched products. During Q1 FY22, the new product development program contributed close to 21% of revenues. The company has been receiving positive responses to its new packaging designs, which were introduced with an aim to create more brand awareness and for retail customer visibility. Inventory days in Q1 FY22 was 60.86 days compared to 59.83 days in Q1 FY21. Receivable days in Q1 FY22 was 38.51 days versus 51.36 days. Payable days in Q1 were 29 days against 31 days in Q1 of FY21. Therefore, net working capital days in Q1 FY22 were 70.37 days versus 79.40 days in Q1 of FY21. As on 30th June 2021, our cash and cash equivalents increased to 433 crores compared to 268 crores on 30th June 2020. On cash balance, we see an increase in working capital going ahead and some portion of cash getting absorbed in increasing inventory days. 46 crore rupees has been used in Q1 for increasing WIP, inventory and overall working capital. Cash on the books on 31st July 2021 is rupees 470 crores. After a fairly low capex last year as against the capex budget of 21.82 crores for financial year 21, the total capex spent was 9.84 crores. In the current year, the capex budget is 17.19 crores, of which rupees 6.69 crores is for sanitary ware automation, 4.97 crores is for faucetware automation, and 5.53 crores is for logistics and IT. To conclude, while the second wave of the pandemic did disrupt our overall performance momentum, the long-term growth dynamics of the company remain intact. We remain optimistic of the outlook given robust indicators of demand, the continued strength of affordable housing and the prevailing low interest rates for housing loans. One of the premier banks of the country has waived processing fee on home loans, and several state governments have offered waivers on stamp duty and regulatory costs. We are also on the cusp of the festive season in India over the next 2 quarters. Overall, we remain confident in the inherent strengths of Cera Sanitaryware and consider ourselves well placed to rebound as the operating environment stabilizes. On that note, I would now request the moderator to open the line for Q&A, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Arun Baid from BOB Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Just a few bookkeeping questions. So can you just give us a breakup for the quarter, segment-wise, normally provide?
Okay, so from the top line perspective, sanitaryware was 50.38%, of which outsourcing was 55.21% and own manufacturing was 44.79%. Faucetware was 30.88% of top line, of which outsourcing was 54.55% and own manufacturing was 45.45%. Tiles was 16.74%, entirely outsourcing if you consider our JVs and outside third-party vendors. Wellness was 2.01% of top line, entirely outsourced.
Okay. And the second question is, in this quarter, we saw our gross margins doing very well. One of the best gross margins we have reported for a long period of time. So can you highlight something there? And also with regards to your other expenses are pretty high, which led to a lower EBITDA. So can you just throw light on these 2 aspects particularly?
See, gross margins have traditionally been in that 47 to 51 region. This quarter it was 56%. So there's been a lot of pressure on negotiating with vendors, with raw material suppliers, with outsourcing partners. So despite the tepid top line numbers, we were able to control costs at the shop floor level and at the outsourcing level. So COGS has been 44% against a traditional 51 to 58% variation. And on the EBITDA margin front, if we would have got a top line of 280 crores and beyond, you would have seen our normal EBITDA margins of between 13 to 14.5%, which you saw for FY21. For this year, we do expect that sales which have regained a positive trajectory from June onwards, we have seen a cracker of July. And if these numbers remain, you will see that number coming back of 14% plus very soon.
And whatever we had guided for that, we had aspirationally said that we are looking at least 1450 crores of turnover. That looks on track because, the lost sales will come back. Is that fair to interpret?
Yes, from 1223 to 1460 is a 15% top line growth, which is definitely possible this year, and EBITDA percentage of 14% plus is also definitely possible this year. But as you know, Mr. Baid, we never guide, we just make our own estimates, and we tell the analyst and investor community that the company size is still not large enough for the company to be able to give out the guidance.
And second thing is, there is this market thing that there is, the competition is seeing a lot of raw material availability issues. Can you just give some, your take, what's happening in the market with regards to this?
See, this is a very interesting and very important question. We have always maintained that you have to have own manufacturing excellence and you have to do it onshore in India. So some of the participants in the industry who had no background in sanitary ware. They came from a faucetware background. They entered sanitary ware purely on the strength of China imports. And on the basis of trade discounting and China imports, they thought they could make a serious dent in the industry. They did make a temporary splash, but they have no products for the last 1.5 months, and they claim they have no products for the next 90 days. So again, we come back to the overall company philosophy. Do you have manufacturing excellence in India? Do you have a strong vendor base for low-end products? These were things that took a long time to build, took a long effort to build. We have done it over the last 15 years. And any company trying to quick fix their way into entering sanitary ware, it does not work, as one of the largest peer group companies have just discovered. So there is no problem of raw material availability either in faucetware of brass and cartridges and rubber and plastic items, or in sanitary ware of clay, feldspar, zinc oxide. But the Chinese vendors, there have been some disruptions. The Chinese currency has been very volatile. So those companies which depend on China, they are facing all sorts of issues, both of availability, pricing, and finding the right product to place in the market. We have always given out a number that our top line 5% is overall imports, and China is one of the pieces of that import. Other companies have numbers of 50, 60%, and of complicated products, they have probably 100%. So this strategy is now bearing fruit, and that's why the June, July numbers and probably what you're going to see in August, September will bear out. So whatever this peer group company top line was in sanitary ware of 300-400 crores is ripe for the taking.
So, sir, we will be a big beneficiary because we had production issues which is resolved, and at the same time we had a good inventory build up in Q1 because of COVID too. Is that the right way to look at it?
Absolutely. So whatever channel inventory was running dry has been replenished during Q1 because sales outlets were closed, interstate transport was compromised, but manufacturing operations were not shut even for one day. So now, after a long time, we are in even keel where sales, supplies, demand, and manufacturing are all aligned.
And the last question from my side, there was this notice which came with regards to your divestment in Anjani Tiles. Can you just throw light on that, sir? What's that?
See, about 5-6 years ago, we partnered with an entrepreneur who has got a past history in cement and tiles manufacturing. He's an expert in that manufacturing business. He has other joint ventures with leading tiles players as well. We partnered with him and provided equity to set up a manufacturing base in Andhra Pradesh. We had an obligation also to buy tiles from that venture. Now, given the buoyancy in the tiles market, we have received indicative interest from our partner to buy out Cera's equity. So the numbers, etc., are at a very preliminary level of discussion. Nothing is finalized. No document has been signed. We are in the process of trying to release our capital from the equity of that manufacturing JV. And the other implied benefit of that is the obligation to buy tiles from that JV will now become an option to buy. So there will be two huge benefits that Cera gets.
So we are going to sell to the other partner only. That's the idea, right, sir?
Yes, that is the level of interest and intent we have received from our partner. So it is just too preliminary right now, and we've also found that the tiles ecosystem in Gujarat has plenty of available capacity. So our customers will not find any difference in availability, designs, and ranges going forward. And at the same time, we have an option to buy a small, large, or entire production of that company.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is from the line of Rahul Agarwal from InCred Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. So just to take that question further, Ayush, on the Anjani Tiles thing. So, whenever that transaction basically happens, till that point, the supply is ensured, right?
That's right. The old supply arrangement is in place, and we continue to buy tiles from Anjani, which constitutes less than 1/3 of Cera's tile sales currently. So in any case, we have to go to third-party vendors to buy 2/3 of our tiles requirement. The advantage of buying from Anjani is, let's say, there is almost a 3 rupee freight advantage for sales that are to be made in South India because the plant is located in AP.
Got it. And any P&L impact you could foresee? Essentially, what I can look in your balance sheet is 10 crores of equity investments, 24 crores of preference, and 12 crores of advances. So essentially, this all comes back. Is that the right understanding?
The numbers are still under discussion, so I won't be able to give you more specifics on the equity and preference. The advances are a business call between a buyer and seller of tiles, so that depending on the volumes going forward will come down, go up. That's just a normal call between a buyer and seller.
Well, I thought we had some facilities from Federal Bank which was supporting Anjani in working capital. So I thought that was, also something which could be, get rid of, right? If we don't get into this transaction. Isn't that correct?
See, Federal Bank has lent to the SPV. Cera has not provided any kind of comfort, guarantee, whether implied, letter of comfort, keep well agreement, none of that from Cera has been provided to Federal Bank. Purely on the strength of the SPV and its financials, its partners, its ability to make revenues. So it's an independent loan by Federal Bank to that SPV. So if the transaction goes through, then the new owner of 100% of ATL's equity will be dealing with Federal Bank as a normal client.
Got it. Thanks for the clarification. So essentially, will you be looking for any new equity tie-ups, or you are comfortable that you will be having like outsourcing capacity and vendors will provide whatever you need? So are you keen basically on any equity tie-up going forward? That's the question.
Currently, there is enough availability of tiles. If that situation were to change, which it doesn't look like it will change in the short term. So in the short term, we may not look at an equity tie-up, but if that situation were to change, of course, we'll come back to you with a revised view that given the shortage or scarcity of tiles, we'll need to invest equity in a venture.
Perfect. And one last housekeeping question was if you could help us with the tier-wise revenue breakdown and the entry, mid, and premium sales, if you could help across segments. Thanks.
1 second. Exports in Q1 last year were 2%. This time it was 4%. Tier 1 sales, which were 24% last year, were 27% this year. Tier 2 sales, which was 10% last year, is 14% this year. And Tier 3 sales, which was 64% last year, is 55% this year. Then we come to premium and that classification. Last year in sanitary ware, entry products were 41% of sales. This year it was 34%. Mid-price products were 13%. They remained at 13%. Premium products were 46%. They become 53%. In faucetware, last year entry products were 32%. This time it's 29%. Mid products were 15%. They remain 15%. And premium products, which were 53% of sales, became 56% of sales. So should I give you the blended average of both as well?
No, that's fine. This is good enough, Ashush. Thank you so much and all the best. Thank you. I'll come back in the queue.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Madhav Marda from Fidelity Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. Good morning. Thank you so much for your time. I just had 2 questions. The first one was if you could give us a sense on, your demand outlook for the coming year. across urban and more tier 3, tier 4 cities, how are you all expecting it to play out this year? And my second question was on the working capital side. So I fully grasp your comments that you made initially. So you're expecting some working capital build-up this year versus last year. Could you help me understand what that was about?
So the demand environment from August 2020 has been higher than supply, both for the industry and definitely for Cera. Cera had a mixture of external and internal issues last year. That has all got sorted out in Q1 of this year, where there was only one external issue. From 15th June onwards, there is neither an external or internal issue. So demand, supply, increased level of supply, both from own manufacturing and from vendors, is now synced with the demand trends. And the industry, which has grown in single digits for the last many years, is seeing a surge in demand. It's definitely in double digits now. Whether it's 10 or 15 or 18, that is something we'll wait for the year to end. But the demand is definitely very, very high. The second point of working capital is last year, due to channels running dry, very high ratio of cash and carry and reduced manufacturing, and therefore the need to not deploy capital in WIP, there was a significant capital that was released from working capital. So we expect that we would like to have more capital deployed in WIP, finished goods, and in inventory. And some part of the cash available will be used for that. So then in the opening statement, we said 46 crores of the cash of 479 crores was used in excess finished goods or inventory days and receivable days. Now that number is back to 470 crores from 433 crores on 30th June. But our aim this year is not to maximize or optimize inventory days. Our aim this year is to increase inventory days, increase if required even receivable days, but to ensure product availability. So I'm saying some part of the 470 crores cash will be used to ensure product availability. Now, as far as market demand is concerned, you see, we are coming back again and again to the most important theme, which is strength of own manufacturing. You've seen one of the challenges in the sanitary ware industry run dry for the last more than a month, and they say they have no product for the next 3 months. So that market share is there for the taking. This is the same discussion we had at the end of Q3 last year, when a lot of our investors and analysts asked us, is there a permanent change in market share? And we said, no, once our products are available, we'll claw back our market share. But this time in Q2 and going forward in Q3, we'll be clawing back much more than our market share because the challenger has no product.
Understood. And just a second question from my side was on the increase in input cost which is happening. Have you been able to pass it on largely, or there could be some more price hikes that could be required? Sorry if you've already answered this before.
On the?
On the input cost side which is happening, have you been able to take sufficient price hikes to pass it through, or we might require some more price hikes in the coming months?
So we'll just go over some of the raw materials. China clay is 50% of raw material in sanitary ware. There was a 3 to 5% hike from April this year. Feldspar, which is 45% of sanitary ware RM, was 3% higher again from April this year. In glazing and colors, there was, which is 1% of RM, there was no major change. Zinc oxide, which is 1% of RM, there was a 7% price hike from April this year. Plaster of Paris, which is used in the molds, which is 1% of RM, there was no change this year. But on the price hike, we took one of 3 to 5% in August 2020, one of 5 to 7% in February 2021, and in August 2021 of 4%. So our price hikes have been one step ahead of the raw material pricing curve. And if raw material prices soften, there's going to be no change in the pricing. Similarly, brass, which is, let's say, 55% of the entire cost of a faucetware raw material, has seen a lot of volatility, and over the last 3 quarters, a one-way increase. So to offset that, both brass and Zamac, we have taken a price hike of 8 to 10% in February and a price hike of 10% in August 2021. So we stayed one step ahead of the curve, and once again brass prices will cool, but we won't be reducing our prices.
Got it. So basically, the demand supply environment remains very supportive for a company like us, which has their own manufacturing, and hence price hikes are, they're able to pass it through basically. Any RM inflation is not a problem.
There are 2-3 reasons for that. One is the brand is very strong, the dealer network is very strong, and it's 100% full sales. There are no push sales.
Right.
So full sales are all end consumer driven. Even project sales, in most of the projects, the procurement teams have specified you can buy brand Cera or brand B or C. So it is a very closed club. The industry is itself a closed industry.
Right.
And customer loyalty in this industry changes after 10-15 years. So the stickiness of customer loyalty is very high because the product is going to last you between 10 and 20 years.
Understood. Great, sir. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants in this conference, we request you to limit your questions to 2 per participant only. If time permits, you can come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. We'll move on to the next question. That is on the line of Sajid Jain from ASK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Ayush, delighted to see a new ad campaign on various channels. Just one quick question. You said is that the competitor would gain market share now for next 3 months will not be able to supply all China supplies to him. But if you are referring to the same player, and he has been a leader in faucet market and attacking the sanitary ware market, if we ourselves are outsourcing, eventually he also can outsource it from domestic players, isn't it? So how sustainable this market share gain would be?
See, in most cases, domestic sanitary ware vendors can supply basic products. They don't have the capability of, let's say, the manufacturing excellence of Cera's plant, which have robotic glazing and the kilns which are German-made kilns, etc., and the quality parameters. So there is huge differentiation between the products that is made in the factory and vendor. Then most of the complicated SKUs, which are tabletop sinks, single-piece wall-mounted WCs, then floor-standing single-piece large WCs, these are not being made by most of the vendors in sanitary ware in India, which is why the challenger was dependent on Chinese imports. So there's a huge differentiation. Otherwise, there would be no need for anyone to have any plant, and we could go the symphony model of 100% outsourcing.
But if I look at your CapEx, so let's say we've done, a very significant compounding FY20 behind for 10 years. And if our ambition is to grow at 15% CAGR and double our sales in 5 years from 600 crores in sanitary ware, the capex is absolutely not commensurate with that. Most of that is on brand spend, this, that, etc. Whereas when you see in the tiles industry, the leaders are clearly, doing a strategy of their own manufacturing. So if the incremental sales and ambition and aspiration is going to come from outsourcing, even we will be like that other player only. And including the Anjani transaction that you are doing, in which you invested 5 crores equity last year, and now you are pulling out. It clearly shows along with your capex plan, that increasingly incremental sales will come from outsourced. So where do we stand on this?
See, on Anjani, the thinking is very clear. There is availability of tiles in the market. In any case, we were dependent on 2/3 of our tile sales from third-party vendors. Now, Anjani, in case this transaction happens and it becomes a third-party vendor, 100% of our tiles will be a trading business with a significant EBITDA margin. So all financial ratios will improve, and there is no differentiation in the tiles market between vendors. There are no quality parameters which are vastly different, unlike in sanitary ware and faucetware. Now coming to sanitary ware, yes, a lot of capex, more than 190 crores of capex was spent on the shop floor between 2015 and 2019, which is why there has been a pause on capex in large numbers over the last 2 years. So the 190 crores of capex that was spent in the shop floor over 4 years from 2015 to 2019, that is giving us the benefits both in the ability to make complicated products and increase the number of SKUs. That has been the main driver of our sales, both in sanitary ware and faucetware. And in Q1 last year, we disclosed to the market we have acquired a land parcel in case there is a significant faucetware expansion plan next to our current manufacturing facility. So we are fully aware of what you are saying, but the list of SKUs that are to be outsourced to a vendor changes periodically, not only annually, sometimes during the year. Lower and lower end and less complicated pieces are outsourced to a vendor, and more complicated newer SKUs are made in-house. So from a percentage basis, outsourcing might increase with the increase in sales, but from a complexity standpoint, own manufacturing will always have 100% market share of complicated products.
Sure, and one request, at least once in a year, if we get to hear from Vikramji about strategy, about company plans, 5-10 years, etc., that will be great. Thank you.
Okay, we'll make it happen this year. We'll make it happen.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is on the line of Sneha Talreja from Edelweiss Securities. Please go ahead.
Good morning, sir, and thanks a lot for the question. So my question is more pertaining to the industry. We have, very recently heard that there is some transportation strike which is happening, and some Morbi-based associations have come out that there will be a 1 month production cut in double charge vitrified tiles. What are your thoughts here, and why is it only applicable to double charge, or do you think this can spread over to even other categories? Any thought process here?
Ma'am, our sanitary ware industry is 45,000 crores. Cera is a 300 crore player, and our double charge sale would be, let's say, just looking at the number, it will be close to 6 crores per quarter. So we are, the fourth decimal point removed from the zero. So for us, there will be no supply disruption.
No, absolutely. My question was on a broader level. If this transportation strike is happening and if, dispatches from Morbi would be impacted, I don't think this should only be, constrained to maybe a double charge or even tiles for that matter. I think the impact can come on sanitary ware too. So that was a question.
Currently, from our vendors, we have a modulo inventory days. So our vendors in Morbi and many other places, and even from our JV in South India, we have 0 inventory days, and they dispatch tiles directly to markets, directly to customers. That's the model we have been working on for many months now, and that has also freed up a lot of working capital, that has reduced transport costs, warehousing cost, and breakage during transportation and loading, unloading. So that model is on, and that is working. If there is a temporary transport strike, I can get you some more details offline, and I can call you and tell you about it. But currently, our tiles team has not been impacted. Our sales have not been impacted. And if there's something material, we'll surely share it with you.
Sure, sir. Also, second question is more related to the demand. Is there any trend that you can highlight that, where were we in terms of in terms of how was the pickup in the month of July and how it has been so far? How is the pickup happening in terms of sales?
See, we've looked at the July data for the last 7 to 10 years. Every year was an increasing trend till the highest July numbers was achieved in July 19, because July 20 was partially a COVID period.
Right.
So the July 21 numbers dramatically exceeds the July 19 numbers as well. I won't be able to put a numerical value to it because only one set of shareholders and investors and analysts are on the call, and this number has to be disclosed to the entire market at the same time. So the numerical value is higher than the July 19 numbers, but we expect this trend to continue both in August and beyond. So Q2, Q3, we expect this trend to continue. And the market is dry. In sanitary ware, the market is dry. So one of the players has no product. So the balance three players will absorb that market share. So let's see how that trend plays out.
Sure, got that, sir. That is really helpful. Thanks, sir. And all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hiral Desai from Anived Portfolio Managers Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Ayush, morning. I had a couple of questions. So one was, in terms of revenues interquarter, because, I remember in the quarter 4 call you had mentioned that, April and May put together was about a 3-digit crore number, which essentially means that, June has been in that 100 to sort of 115 crore kind of range, which looks a bit soft given the opening up of the economy and the pent up that we had. So would it be possible to at least give the sort of June 16 to 30th growth versus the first half of June? If you can't share the July number.
Yeah, we can split that up, but again, we'll have to declare it to the entire market at the same time. So we'll figure out a way.
You can disclose it to the exchange also, no issues with that. If you can
just share we'll just figure out a way of how to go about that.
Yeah, if that's possible.
Okay.
The second question was, related to this volatility in the gross margin. So I'm looking at last 9 quarters. The highest gross margin is 56%, which is in the current quarter, and the lowest is 42% in quarter 3 of FY21. So that is, 2 quarters ago. So what causes this significant, sort of swing in the gross margin? Well, it's difficult to keep a track on, sort of where they are heading. Given that you've already taken a few pricing action in last 12 months or so.
See, most important thing is the overall average of the last 12 quarters. If you see, the gross margin will be around 50-51%. Q3 of last year was a normal quarter because the plant was shut off 82 days out of 90 days. So that's why gross margin was the lowest. And this quarter again, the tiles business was only 16% of top line. Normally it's 19-20% of top line. So tiles is the lowest contributor to gross margins because it's fully outsourced model. So that has very high impact on the gross margin calculation.
And where should this, so you did mention that steady state, this number should ideally be between 47 to 51%. So that is the long-term range that we should work with.
Yes, because COGS will increase as share of outsourcing increases. And the only counterbalance to that will be share of tiles reducing as a percentage. Maybe not as an absolute number, but as a percentage.
And the other was, related to one of the questions which was asked earlier on the capacity. So I guess the number that you mentioned for this quarter was capacity utilization of about 88% on sanitary ware. And this is, as you are sort of getting back from the factory lockdown. So, assuming that you continue to grow between, let's say, 10 to 15% over next couple of years, wouldn't you be short on capacity as we go along?
Yes, you see sanitary ware. See, sanitary ware, despite all the efforts taken towards automation, continues to be very, very manually dependent. The skill set required to manufacture sanitary ware is available only in 2-3 locations across the country. Then comes the availability of gas. Can you manufacture sanitary ware while paying 41 rupees for gas?
Right.
So those are the variables to keep in mind while talking about a greenfield project.
Right.
Then the second thing is availability of any existing plant. We've not found any great options so far on availability of an acquisition target. Then comes partnering with someone who has a plant. So those are various parameters that we analyze, and we also look at brownfield expansion of our own plant. Is there land available near our own factory, etc.? Is there more skilled labor available? Can GAIL increase its gas throughput, or we'll go back to Sabarmati at 41 rupees for increased throughput? So given all those variables, various studies are going on, and soon there will be, some outcome. So in faucetware, the outcome is clear.
On sanitary ware?
Sorry?
What is the current capacity on sanitary ware?
See, we don't have a per piece capacity because the SKUs have increased dramatically. And the complexity, share of complex products has also increased. So we don't have a number of pieces kind of capacity.
But like, how would we understand, in case you end up doing something brownfield, what is the kind of capacity utilization or the incremental capacity that you can take up?
Value or tonnage. That is how we look at it. But that's also a moving target.
No. So in percentage terms, just wanted to understand, like if you do a brownfield, what is the kind of capacity that you can add in percentage terms? Value or tonnage, whichever way.
Yeah. So in brownfield also, the availability of land near a manufacturing facilities is being looked at. Currently, we have not found any, so we are looking at that right now. So whether there exists an opportunity for brownfield, that itself is something that is unclear at the moment.
Got it. And lastly, as investors, very happy that the focus has, gone back to product availability versus, excess focus on working capital. So very happy with that. Congratulations and all the best.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pritesh Chheda from Lucky Investments. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, I have one broader question. So for our type of products, is there any research paper done whereby one can figure out what is the replacement-led demand in the product and how much of the demand is linked to a housing purchase, whether it's a completely new house purchase or a resale activity which induces the need for this product. So any assessment there, sir?
See, we don't have access to any outside data. We have asked for many agencies to give us this data, but we've never got anything. But I'll tell you how we look at it and why we look at it that way. So we look at it of share of government sales, share of direct billing to developers, and share of sales through dealers. Share of government sales is definitely a negotiated price. Share of sales to large developers is also a negotiated price. Sale through dealers is not a negotiated price. So in Q1, sanitary ware and faucetware business, 65% of sales were through dealers and retail. Project was 32% and export was 3%. And in tiles, that number...
So project here will be government plus developers, right?
Project includes government sales and large billing to developers. Yes.
Okay.
Tiles, retail sales was 74%. Project sales.
Sir, I'm okay at the company level, so I figured out that it is something like a 70-30 or a 60-40 or 60-30.
Yes. So 70-30 is the ratio that you'll find, out of which in the 30 share of government used to be 3-4%. That number is increasing, and even within the company is not comfortable taking credit calls. So 21% out of that 30% is billing through dealers.
But still, this doesn't answer my question that a demand generated on account of a housing transaction would be what percentage of the total? Will it be more than 80% of the demand is linked to a housing purchase, whether it is new or a repurchase, a completely new build or a repurchase?
See, I'll tell you how the industry operates. A newer brand, which is not established, which is very close to a white label brand, will approach a developer and any project and try and discount its way into an order. Whereas an established brand like Cera will not do that. The established brand like Cera will depend on full sales from dealers. That is the difference. And therefore, there is a huge pricing advantage that we enjoy. So the share of 70% of top line through dealers is retail sales. If a dealer is selling to a developer, then that is a transaction between the two of them where we have no role to play.
Okay. I'll take this offline, sir, actually. My second question or clarification is, so based on the price increases that have flowed through in the last 8-9 months now, what will be the blended price-led growth that would flow in for FY22 is the number which I was...
Sanitaryware, you can say 20% because it was February and August this year. So August, you'll get at least 7 months. And you mentioned 4 and 4 in sanitaryware, right? 4% in 21 and 4% in August. That's
4% in Feb and 4% in August, so it's 8%.
And in faucetware it's 20%. So you can take that, multiply it into that ratio of 50.
Okay, so it's blended 8%. Yeah, it's blended. And my last question is, based on the commentary that you were mentioning about activity levels and about general industry, do you see a case where, and the fact that last 3-4 years were largely soft, do you see a case where you actually see a situation of consistent volume growth for your business over the next 4 years now? And the case is much stronger.
All the telltale signs are in place that the next 3 years will be a period of increased volume and value consumption, both from the end consumer and from projects. All the telltale signs and the ingredients are in place.
Perfect. Thank you very much and all the best to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, that was our last question. I now hand the conference over to the management for their closing comments.
Thank you. I would like to thank everyone for attending this call and for showing interest in Cera Sanitaryware Limited. Cera remains positive that its strong positioning in the industry and improving macros would help it deliver steady and consistent growth going forward. With this, I hope I've been able to answer your questions satisfactorily. However, should you need any further clarification or would like to know more about the company, please feel free to reach out to me or CDR India. Thank you once again for taking time to join the call and see you all next quarter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Cera Sanitaryware Limited, that concludes this conference call. We thank you for joining us and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.